Hey everyone, I am Leah Myers and my official title is Mom, but I also serve as the founder and the executive director for the Families SCN2A Foundation. Before I begin, I'd like to fully disclose that I am not a clinician, I'm not a doctor or a nurse, I'm not a scientist, and I've never had a seizure. So I'm also not a professional speaker, so if I fumble, please excuse that up here, but probably wondering why I'm here then and why I'm speaking at an epilepsy conference. I am just a mom to a very special little boy who does have epilepsy. He's in the back with his dad right there. And when faced with a challenge, I chose to fight. And my goal in sharing our story today is that I hope that we can inspire somebody with our story and that you'll stand up and fight back too. So I'd like to thank Laura Woodward for inviting me to this amazing conference and for the opportunity to spread awareness about our rare disease and to grow our community by all of you, which you're better known for this purpose of this presentation as the many. So now that you know who I am, I'd like to get to know who you are just a little bit better. And so please raise your hand if you are a patient with epilepsy. These are the warriors in the room, everyone look around. If you are a caregiver to somebody with epilepsy, please raise your hand. These are my people. If you are a clinician, a researcher, industry, thank you very much. Keep up the great work. So it's a pleasure to meet all of you. And so after I share my family's journey through the diagnosis of a very rare genetic disorder known as SCN2A, I'm going to show you how we went from being the only ones to part of a much larger movement. Meet Ben, serial hugger, AKA the One. Ben loves ceiling fans, his pacifier, cheese puffs, jacuzzi baths, his mom, his dad, his Mimi, who's up here videotaping me to make me even more nervous. He has an amazing ability to win people's hearts over without really saying a word, because he is nonverbal. And without making any eye contact, he actually kind of avoids eye contact. He is the definition of love and truth. Because he's nonverbal and intellectually functions at a much lower age than his chronological age, he's unable to do a lot of things. But some of my favorite things are his inability to lie, his inability to cheat, steal, be sneaky, hurt somebody else, or be mean. He's also able to do many things, and some of my favorites are his ability to love unconditionally, to hug and snuggle, and he makes people so very happy. He turned 9 this year, which in itself is a huge accomplishment given the fact that the doctors told us he wouldn't make it to see his 2nd birthday. He was very, very sick as a baby. Ben was born on a Friday, October 1st, 2010, and he weighed in at 8 pounds, 9 ounces, big baby. Perfectly healthy and gorgeous in every way. He was the prettiest baby in the nursery, and that's a fact, it's not bias. You can ask my mother. It wasn't too long though into his 2nd month that we just knew something was off with him. We brought up our concerns multiple times to our pediatrician, and we were dismissed every single time. The things that we were concerned with were he wasn't making any eye contact. You'd hold him up and look at him and he would avoid looking at you. He wasn't bearing weight on his legs when you stood him up like babies do. He had this weird shaking in one of his legs, which I now know is clonus, but then I didn't know. I was a first-time mom. He also had this repetitive lower jaw quivering, which I took him in for, and they said, immature nervous system, paranoid first-time mom. And my favorite, he's a boy, boys are lazy, he'll be fine. Because he never fell off of the chart for milestones, they just dismissed everything. So Brant and I tried to push out of our heads that there was anything wrong, and we cheered him on as he learned how to crawl, stand, and even took a few steps on his 1st birthday. And although he continued to make strides with his physical motor skills, right around 11 months, we noticed a pretty significant regression in his social emotional skills. He lost his smile. He also lost the few sounds that he was saying, which were mama and dada. And we just knew something was wrong. We assumed it was autism, which at that time was our biggest fear. And we thought that couldn't be any worse than that, and we just assumed it was autism. So a month later, his 1-year checkup, we stood for him and we demanded to be heard. And we did get the referral to get developmental testing. Unfortunately, we never made it to that appointment because 6 days later, Ben started having seizures. He was diagnosed with infantile spasms, which is a catastrophic form of epilepsy. Has anyone in this room heard of infantile spasms? Many of you, so you know it's not a good diagnosis. It's considered a neurological emergency, and if not treated immediately and aggressively, it leads to extensive, devastating, and irreversible brain damage. So our autism concern fell to the curb. We didn't care anymore about the autism. We were in a race to stop his seizures and save his life. He was having hundreds to thousands of seizures every single day. All he did was seize and sleep. Brant and I would take turns holding Ben for hour-long clusters of seizures where he had one every 6 seconds. We'd hold him in one arm and a pillow in the other, so when his head would violently drop, it would go onto the pillow and nothing hard. And we would just look at each other and we would know it was time to switch because it's so emotionally draining to do this. Ben's health declined before our eyes. It was hard to tell what was worse, the seizures, the medical side effects that came with the seizures, or the side effects of the anti-epileptic drugs that we were pumping into his little body. He lost everything, every single milestone, and he went back to newborn. The doctors told us that this is how he